What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all those social media platforms listed above. I highly recommend that you give us a follow on whatever platform you use. If you are new to the YouTube channel, please subscribe, hit the notifications bell so you're notified whenever we do go live. We are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. And if you really want to take a game to the next level, go check us out at WiseTake.com where you can download our projections if you are a NBA DFS subscriber. And you can check out our new cheat sheets. I showed a little preview of them earlier. They update throughout the day, so they're a little different now in terms of the player orders and everything than it was before. As we get injuries, we're going to do what we do, update everything. Shout out to the nation. We had a little break. I know it technically returned last week. This is the first full week. So it's like a restart as we go. What is it, 30-something games left in the NBA, something like that? We're close. So the window is closing to make that big impact. It's been a great season for us. A very profitable season in general. A lot of great screenshots. We had guys winning an XFL, which was great. Shout out to you. Shout out to you guys who smashed the XFL with us. And NBA, man. I know Paulie's Core Plays article has been killing it. We have a really, really awesome staff right now. And I'm extremely, extremely excited with where we're heading. Proud of the community and the company that we've built. We've been around for a minute. I know some of you might be new, some of you guys may not realize, but we've been around here for a little bit. So if you haven't found us, there's no time like the present, right? If you haven't already, please like the video. The videos really help us out, allow us to continue to do the content, the free content that we do on this channel, any free content that we do. The likes and all that really help us out. Trying to get more people to know about the WiseTake Nation, because I think there's a lot of people out there that don't understand what it is that we've built and what it is we are building, what we are working towards. And with your help, we'll be able to accomplish our goals. I'm not even talking about my own personal goal. My own personal goals is the WiseTake Nation. So for me, it goes hand in hand. It's been a long day. Just got a puppy. Wife and I just got a little puppy. I say little. He's a 22-pound, 3-month-old. Not exactly little. So I got me some coffee. You're going to hear me slurp on it like a straight beast. But we got some money to make. We have a $4 donkey on DraftKings going for $100K up top. Wasn't going to play in it today. I wasn't going to max enter the donkey. I was going to stick with my mini max. Do the deal. But the wife. That's right. The wife wants the 100 grand. She wants the 100 grand. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to max enter that $4. And we're going to try to take down some donkeys today. We're going to try to give a new definition to doing the dirty to thy neighbor. And again, we're going to do this with your help. So as always, we're going to go game by game for the first hour. On the second hour, we will bring Paulie D on to talk some game theory. Answer some of your questions, and more importantly, keep you guys updated with all the news. This is a very reactive sport. A lot of the skill that comes into NBA DFS is reactionary. How do you adjust your projections when we get news? And that is what we do. The projections you see on the screen are the WiseTake Nation projections at WiseTake.com. This is not what they look like when you go there. This is just a visual that I've created so that you guys can follow along. But if you are interested in following along, my projections, the ones I'm using every single day, are available over there. So, dirties will be done. With that said, we got a lot to get through, so I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. Give me 1 second. All right, time to do some dirties. First up, we've got the Atlanta Hawks visiting the Philadelphia 76ers. We're going to start off with the road team as we do. In the meantime, we have a 227.5 total that is down from 228.5. The Sixers opened up -8. They're up to -8.5. And that was with Tobias Harris being doubtful and now being upgraded to questionable. So some things to keep an eye on. Looks like 57% of the bets coming in on the Atlanta side. So that's kind of interesting. Philly, one of the worst road teams in the game. However, also one of the best home teams in the game. So let's go ahead and get into it. We get Atlanta visiting Philly. It's the usual with Atlanta. Not a ton has changed since the early look. We're still waiting on the official status of guys like Hunter, who we're anticipating to be back. He was out for a personal issue, so I think we're all anticipating that he does play. If that is the case, then we should expect. Yeah, it looks like he doesn't even have a tag anymore, so he is going to play. If that's the case, then we should expect Cam Reddish to see a reduction in minutes. We should see Collins able to play a little bit more 5, especially when Dedmon gets into foul trouble, because that's been something that has followed him around. But Trae Young, I think, is definitely worth a look as a potential spend up. If Josh Richardson covers him, which I think he will, he's going to have his hands full. But a guy like Trae Young is matchup dependent for the most part. So it is what it is. But we've got Trae Young at 10-6. What is he projecting for with us? And John Collins is our primary targets. On FanDuel, Kevin Huerter still seems too cheap. On FanDuel. On DraftKings, I think he's fine. I usually prefer someone to be out, but we know he's going to play big minutes because he always does. Dwayne Dedmon's another question mark. He's going to have his hands full with Embiid, and he's had a lot of foul trouble issues. I think they're willing to play him more if he stays out of foul trouble, but that's obviously easier said than done. DeAndre Hunter, we have projected for 32 minutes. We may have to raise that up a little bit. Is that 32 minutes against Hunter? May have to raise that up a little bit because he has played big minutes when he's played. And again, he didn't miss any time for injury. It was a personal matter. But in his most recent game on the 20th, he played 30 minutes against Miami in a close game. Before that, 36 minutes against Cleveland, 33 against Orlando, 48 against the Knicks. So we know he's capable, and he's a guy that they've chosen to handle the big workload. So for the now, I do like Trae Young. There's other studs that project a little stronger for us, but I do like Trae Young, who has, I think, played 40 minutes in 2 straight games. And I'm cool with Collins, but it's going to be hard to reach him at those prices. It's going to be tough. On the Philly side, we know Ben Simmons is out. Tobias Harris was doubtful. He is now questionable. If Tobias Harris plays, I am actually interested. Ben Simmons is out, so we know the standard starter should see a boost in usage. They all have a big pace boost here. So if Tobias is officially ruled in, on FanDuel, you can see he's projecting to be one of the top plays already. On DraftKings, we'd have to do a little work to get him up there, but I would want to make sure that we got exposure to at least some. If Tobias is out, we would raise the minutes on Alec Burks just a drop. I like Josh Richardson regardless in a pace-up spot. I would anticipate him playing some point guard. They're going to need him for his defense, so a lot there. Al Horford, projected for 25 minutes at the moment. He was projecting to be one of the top plays earlier when we had Tobias out. With Tobias in, we did lower his minutes, and he just really hasn't been all that good. Now with Simmons out, maybe we do see a boost. Simmons, you got to remember, is like 5th or 6th in the league in minutes played. He plays a lot of minutes, and he does carry a lot of usage, so there's going to be a lot to spread out there. Joel Embiid's very interesting. Now, I wouldn't, there's always a risk, but he's playing Atlanta, a team that typically gives up a ton of fantasy points to centers. With Ben Simmons out in the past, we've always seen Embiid step up his usage rate. His point per minute average goes up. And on top of that, we have a lot of value at center. So I'm curious to see how many people are actually able to spend up for centers. And Embiid is definitely an interesting stud. His price is low on DraftKings. $9,500 for Embiid is low. If Tobias is out, he becomes even stronger. And the question is, how many people actually play him? Because you have other studs on the slate like Luka, James Harden. You have so many studs. And a lot of the stronger value, or at least the perceived strong value, comes at center. Guys like Gorgie Dieng, we'll talk about later. Guys like Robin Lopez, with Brook Lopez out. So for game theory purposes, I'm intrigued, to say the least. Let's go over to the next game. We got the Milwaukee Bucks and the Washington Wizards. So we've got a 243.5 total here from Milwaukee and Washington. Highest total on the slate by far. The Bucks opened up -12. They're all the way up to -13 at the moment. Obviously, the Bucks are significantly better than the Wizards. We would normally anticipate them to blow out Washington in any circumstance. However, with this total being so high, with the pace of this game expected to be so fast, we're going to want to make sure we pay attention here. Robin Lopez, we have around 26 minutes or so. Played center in a phenomenal spot. We're assuming he's going to start. Well, we should get this lineup. It's one of the early games. So assuming that he starts, it's a phenomenal matchup against Washington, a team that's been awful against centers. We know Thomas Bryant's going to be out for us today. It's a little tougher to reach Middleton and Bledsoe on DraftKings at their prices. On FanDuel, though, I think they're priced pretty well to a point where I'd be willing to take some shots. On DraftKings, I'd probably reserve them more for game stacks at the way their prices are because you kind of want this game to stay close and if you expect them to hit those price tags. Giannis, I'm cool with regardless. When he's in, he's number one. He's primary. Phenomenal rebounding spot for him. And he's just a beast. So the only problem with Giannis, of course, is they're conservative with his minutes. But he's played around 32 to 33 in a lot of these games recently. Washington could surprise us, keep this close, and he can end up being, realistically speaking, comparing all the studs, he's one of the highest point per minute players out there, Giannis. The issue, he doesn't get those 36 minutes that we see, 38 minutes we see Trae Young and Harden and all these guys. He don't get that. If he did, he'd probably be going for 80s, 90s every night. I say it every time, I know, broken records type shit, but I truly believe that. So I'm interested in Giannis. At the moment, I think I'm a little more into guys like Luka, and we'll talk about these guys later, but definitely do not want to ignore Giannis in a phenomenal matchup. Blowout, definitely a risk, though. George Hill's min price on both sides. I'm not sure why. He seems to be back. We expect him to play 20 to 22 minutes or so. So I think he makes for a fine value play. I don't think he's going to be too popular because I think most people take their value from the bigs, like Robin Lopez, who I do think, as you can see, projects to be a pretty solid value play on DraftKings where you can play multiple centers. But that's the basic for me, right? Giannis, number one. Middleton and Bledsoe I'm good with on FanDuel, but I'm really only into game stacks with them on DraftKings and Rolo, man. On FanDuel, it's risky to punt your center completely like that, but on DraftKings, I think he's definitely a guy we can take a shot on if he starts. If he doesn't start, I'd be nervous, but I don't know who else they would start. They could go small. They're playing Washington. They've got guys like Marvin Williams and some of these dudes, Illy, that they could play at the 5, but Lopez is a true 5, so I'm assuming he's going to get the start, and this is a nut matchup for center, so I do like Rolo quite a bit. Just easier to do on DraftKings at 3K where you can play multiple centers. Bradley Beal finally played 38 or 39 minutes, whatever it was, in his last contest. I think that was a good sign. I got him projected for around 38 again, and again, if you are considering a game stack or if you are going to play a lot of Giannis, then you're going to have some Beal to bring it back, because if the only way they're keeping this game close is if Beal contributes in the necessary ways. We mentioned Thomas Bryant is out. That's why Mo Wagner is popping for us right now on both sides. On DraftKings, the power forward eligibility is pretty clutch for the value. I got him at 22 minutes, wanted to be somewhat conservative, and he still projects extremely well. We'll have to see. We know he's got the upside, but we also know he's got a very low floor. But again, Thomas Bryant being out should definitely help his case. Davis Bertans is currently questionable. If he's in, I think he's interesting. One of the ways you want to attack Milwaukee is through the three-point shot. He's one of the best three-point shooters in the game, and definitely one of the best on Washington. However, he's questionable. So if he were to miss, we'd have to take a harder look at Rui Hachimura. We'd have to take I think that would help Mo Wagner's case, because Bertans can also play some 5 if need be. I'm sorry, Bertans can. But I said it right. I said it right. But yeah, I think Mo Wags is a guy I'm going to end up getting a lot of. Again, that power forward eligibility on DraftKings is pretty huge. Bradley Beal is a guy we don't want to ignore, especially on a slate that's already, the chalk build should be stars and scrubs. Even though he's a stud, you're going to have the money to be able to play like Luka and Harden together if you want. So I do think Beal still may go overlooked. And again, this game has a massive total, so the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm interested, I think. But either way, there's plays to go around here. And this is the highest total game on the board. We have a lot of good games. We don't want to overreact and dedicate it all. But I think we want to make sure we have at least some. Going on to the next, we got Miami and Cleveland, a little rematch action. Jimmy Bucket's expected to be out again. Let me just pop into chat and say what's up. MG, what's up? MG says Trae Young. Oh, Justin Jennings. I didn't even see that. Justin, what's up? He says, what's up, fam? Let's get it. Oh, Bertans is out. Double OG. Oh, shit. Is that Jeff? Holla. Bertans is out? Yeah, you're right. Okay, Bertans is out as a 518. Okay. Tobias Harris, so a game time decision. So yeah, man, this is gonna help. This is definitely. Oh, Tobias Harris. I see Tobias Harris will play, and then I see a game decision. But I think Tobias might have gotten ruled in. Shout out to Jeff for pointing that out to us. But Bertan's ruled out. So real quick before I go to here, I'm just gonna go back to Washington. Again, I think that's gonna solidify Mo Wag's role. I think Troy Brown could get more run. Rui Hachimura will give some minutes too, because I think they're gonna need him on the court with no Bertans. And again, that's more scoring. They're going to be relying on these ancillary players and of course, Bradley Beal. But I think that's a boost to Mo Wags. Good to know these things. I'll update when we're on the in-between. Those of you who are using the projections at WiseTake.com, I will be updating the projections right after this portion of the show. So the cheat sheets are going to change accordingly once I do the updates. But anyway, as I was saying, shout out to Justin Jennings. What up? MG, what up? Trae Young is an everyday 15 to 20% guy to me. I feel you, bro. Minimum, right? Minimum. You feel me? Shit, yeah. Yeah, Jamis and Bertans, everybody's letting us know confirmation. He is out. I'm with it. So we'll make the adjustments accordingly. I'm actually going to make a note so I remember to do that shit. Make a little note. There we go. Got my pen right here, son. Bertans. All right. We'll keep an eye on the Tobias situation. I saw one source said he's in, another source said he's a game time decision, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. Next up, we've got the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's take a look here. We got a 222 total. Not as exciting as the 243.5 we just spoke about, but Miami to just destroy Cleveland and Miami. It's a home and home. Hopefully this game stays a little closer to this going around. Miami currently 6.5-point favorites on the road. Kind of strange when you consider that he's beaten by 40, but I guess you can consider the home field or whatever, home court. Jimmy Buckets is out again for a personal issue. I think that Kendrick Nunn, he was really popular last time out, did really well. His price is up a little bit, but he's still within reach for sure, especially in a good matchup against Cleveland, who's not good against guards. Derrick Jones Jr. also very cheap, assuming he started for Buckets last time. If he's going to start again, I'm definitely interested. Goran Dragic just wasn't really needed. He got 27 minutes, went for 30 DraftKings points in 27 minutes, but he wasn't needed. If this game does stay close, expect him to see 31 minutes, maybe even more. The usage looked good, so I'm good on Dragic as well. Bam Adebayo, very interesting also against Cleveland. The price is elevated, kind of in that same game theory category with Embiid, and that I don't think a ton of people are going to be paying up. On FanDuel, he's power forward, which always makes it easier to play him. But it's really like Dragic I'm willing to go back to again. I'm cool with Kendrick Nunn. Derrick Jones Jr., if he starts, I'm good with it for value. I'm good. Really, Miami, with Butler being out, man, and the prices of these people, I think a lot of these guys are in play. Jay Crowder as well. A guy like Andre Iguodala is got potential. I just don't know if we're going to need him because we do have a lot of value elsewhere. With that said, let's go over to Cleveland. So on the Cleveland side, they've been really tough to figure out. I don't know why they went out and got Drummond. They're not playing him much. He's getting like 22 minutes, 26. I don't know. I'm not really sure why they got him. His price is down, so it's interesting. And I feel like he is going to have that day where he kind of goes nuts and we're going to end up missing it. But I just can't keep burning money chasing him. I think that Kevin Porter Jr. is the most disappointing. They said that they were going to like really rely on him to score more and play him more minutes and all the. And I think they will. But he had 5 fouls in 13 minutes the other day. Then he got ejected. And then the next game, he only got 13 minutes again. But I think that was like kind of punishment-ish, right? Because I think Love is really cheap. Love is really cheap. And I know he's expected to play. Kevin Love got 23 minutes against Washington, 26 against the Clippers. The Washington game was not a blowout, so it's a little concerning that he played so little. The Clippers game was a blowout. That was more understandable, but he's got a really good price. But again, they're not really playing for anything. They know that. I'm just concerned. They're just not going to push their studs, especially studs that they don't anticipate being on the team next year, like Kevin Love, who's asked to be traded and everything else. There's just not a lot from Cleveland I'm interested in. On this biggest slate like this, there's just not a lot from Cleveland I really want. Now, I'll say this. Kevin Love on DraftKings is tempting enough at 7-1. At 6K on FanDuel, it's extremely tempting. So if there was one player I'd be willing to take a shot on in tournaments here, it's probably him. Next up, we've got the Orlando Magic visiting the Brooklyn Nets. We've got a 214 total, also extremely low. The Nets currently 3.5-point favorites. Not a ton has changed since this morning. I like Vooch. Similar situation with Embiid. I just don't think a lot of people are going to go there. I'm assuming Vooch has got some pretty good history against these guys for whatever it's worth. Vooch has played well, man. Over his last 3 games, 55, 52, 52. I mean, 54 if you want to go another one. And yeah, he's got pretty solid history here against Brooklyn. So we know that they struggle against centers. I definitely have interest in him. I will say this, DeAndre Jordan's been playing a lot on the other side. That's going to help their defense out a little bit. But I'm actually going to give Vooch a little more, give him a little boost. Because again, I do like the value centers that we got, but I am also interested in some of the spend ups because I just think they're going to be lower owned because I think so many people are going to take those value players and just kind of be content with that. Evan Fournier, I also believe, is in play. Aaron Gordon, I probably won't reach, but he's obviously played really well lately, and his minutes have looked pretty solid. DJ Augustine's expected to be back, so between him, Michael Carter-Williams, I'm a little nervous about Fultz and how many minutes he gets. I would anticipate that it's going to interact with each other and whatnot. So it's mainly just Vooch and Fournier for me on the Orlando side. On the Brooklyn side, we're going to start with Dinwiddie and LeVert as usual. Both of them are a little cheaper on FanDuel, easier to reach. Dinwiddie, I think, on DraftKings is interesting at 7.7. I don't mind LeVert at 7.3. This is a pace down spot. Orlando's like probably one of the slowest teams in the game. So opportunity-wise, you really need some efficiency here. This game could have that sneaky overtime potential. It got a close spread. That could be how they get there. But in the meantime, I'm not dying to target too many people from this game, specifically the Brooklyn side. I think there's a little bit of value for Orlando. I think they're going to be paced up a little bit. They have a soft defensive matchup. But on the other side of the ball, I'm not as interested. However, the usage for Dinwiddie and LeVert without Kyrie is just massive. So at the very least, if you are targeting Brooklyn, you know where to go first. Taurean Prince is interesting at his price on DraftKings at 4.4. And then DeAndre Jordan's kind of interesting, right? The mid-tier should also go kind of overlooked. When you got Brandon Clark, you got value players. But this guy's playing big minutes. He's playing. He's winning the battle over Jared Allen, who's definitely seen a drop off. I'm not terribly interested. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'd rather go down or up, but that's gonna leave the mid-tier kind of wide open. So definitely something to consider. What we got here? Next up, we've got the New York Knicks visiting the Houston Rockets. Where are we at here? New York Knicks visiting the Houston Rockets. Lower that shit. We've got a 229 total, which for the Knicks is pretty big. The Rockets minus 14 at home. We know that Frank Nitti has been ruled out. We're waiting on word about Elf Payton. Elf Payton is questionable. Should he miss, DSJ should be in for a minutes boost at point guard, and he's extremely cheap. It's never worked out, but I can't help but think maybe this is the spot. Should that happen? Should Elf get ruled out? Maybe this is the spot in a pace-up spot against Houston, against a guard-heavy team. So we'll have to wait and see. RJ Barrett would also get a boost if Elf was out. I do like Julius Randle. I have some interest in him in this type of situation, especially being that Houston is, very small. I think it could play well for a guy like Julius Randle. I would love to play a guy like Mitch Robinson. It's just kind of tough to take that chance on a slate this big when his minutes have been so inconsistent. Foul trouble's been an issue. Again, matchup-wise, there's no bigs on the other side, but that could just mean they don't need him. So we'll have to see. But I do like Julius Randle quite a bit on both sides, and keep an eye on DSJ. Elf is kind of interesting, but more so on FanDuel at 7.2. 7.6 is a stretch, but he has that triple-double upside, and this is definitely the type of matchup, like I said, very guard-heavy, fast-paced, where Elf can do dirty. So I don't want to necessarily count him out. If he gets ruled in with Nitti out, I'd be willing to give him some extra minutes, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. If he's out, though, unfortunately, I'll be playing a lot of DSJ and feeling sick about it and complaining to you guys about it on Twitter. So be ready for that. Curious to see if they play Mo Harkless. Mo Harkless is a guy that's covered Harden, I feel like, pretty much Harden's entire career every time they played. So curious to see what they do with him. On the Rockets side, it's the usual suspects: James Harden, Russell Westbrook. Harden projects well for us, projects better even at a higher price tag as usual. I'm good with him. PJ Tucker's a value guy that you can consider. I'm not terribly into him, but I will acknowledge the $3,800 price tag. I think Covington is a fine option, but we have a lot of good ones Eric Gordon, I like more when he starts. When he's coming off the bench, I get concerned about his minutes. But the role has looked pretty good off the bench regardless. So as long as he's cheap enough, which on DraftKings I think he is, I think he's in play. And that's really it. But Harden is going to be the mainstay. As of right now, I am getting a lot of Harden. I'm trying to move things around and figure out. But he is a guy that I'm getting a lot of right now. So I'm going to have to make a decision on him and whether I want to ride with that or not. It's a big blowout spread. However, the Rockets have been one of the teams that do play their guys in blowouts more than others. If it's a 40-point game, then we'll only see these guys get 30 minutes apiece. But if it's like a 15, 20-point game, we could still see these guys get their extended run. So I'm interested. Maybe I should lower them a little bit just to kind of reflect the blowout situation, but I'm not going to lower them too much because I still want some, especially if people are going to bail. But Stars and Scrubs is going to be the way I'm going today, no doubt. Next up, we've got the Minnesota Timberwolves visiting the Dallas Mavericks. We've got a 238.5 total. Dallas opened up -14. They're down to -13. We're expecting Porzingis and Luka both to be back. The Minnesota side, D'Lo's back. I think D'Lo is interesting for tournaments. He's had massive usage. I think his presence could affect some of the other guys around him. Definitely going to affect Jordan McLaughlin, who's played really well when he started. But I'm interested in D'Lo. I think that Beasley is also worth a look. His usage has been awesome. Naz Reid is cool, but my issue is we saw it with Jokic yesterday. Is like foul trouble is going to be a problem for him when he plays against aggressive centers. And Porzingis has started at the 5 a lot this year, so if he gets matched up with Kleber, I'm not so worried. If he's matched up with Porzingis, that could be trouble for him. But I will say this: he's got a very high point per minute average. He busted pretty hard yesterday, so maybe he's worth looking at again, assuming that he starts again. It's just a matter of, if you're concerned about the foul trouble or not. But definitely someone you want to take a look at today. Power forward eligibility is clutch. James Johnson, if you're not into Reed or if you think he's more likely to play bigger center minutes, if James Johnson starts, I'll go ahead and load up. Juancho Hernan-Gomez, I think, is fine too in that mid-tier. I do expect the mid-tier to kind of go undervalued, and Hernan-Gomez doesn't project that well for us. That's based off of what he's done earlier this season with Denver. We still got to give him a sample. I'd be willing to raise his minutes a little bit just to kind of reflect what his usage has been like on this new team. He's started, he's played big minutes, he's had a bigger role. As a matter of fact, I think I am going to give some of these guys some boost here. Let me just see one thing right quick. Man, I'm a sucker for Reed because his name is Nas, man. Shit gets me. Shit gets me every time. So, let's see. I gave Reed a little bit more minutes. What did I put him at? 25.5? What happens if we go to a full 26? McLaughlin is right. I'm going to change him to 33. Let's see how many minutes Juancho played last time out. He got 27 against Denver, and then 26 against Boston. So that might be a real legitimate thing. I just don't think that his point per minute average is as high as is reflecting as high as it should be. But Naz Reid, I'm interested in. D'Lo, I'm interested in. I'm okay with Beasley, as a matter of fact, because I think his minutes and usage, even with D'Lo there, his minutes and usage has been pretty massive. So we'll give him a boost as well. But it's the other side of this game I'm more interested in, right? Like, Minnesota's been the nut DFS team to target against. I love Luka today. Love Luka. I like Porzingis a lot as well. I'm not getting to as much Porzingis as I thought I would, which is a little frustrating, but I'm going to make sure that I work some of him in. On DraftKings, it's because he's center eligible. That's the problem. On FanDuel, I'm good. Even at 8.8, I'm good with Porzingis. I just think that the matchup is just too juicy. So I do like Porzingis. On DraftKings, my biggest issue is the fact that he's center only. That makes it a little tougher to reach him. But when these guys are back, I'm just not really interested in the ancillary pieces. I want those two. Luka is my favorite stud on the day. He's the stud I'll have the most of for sure. It's a blowout. It could burn me. But the matchup is just too good, right? Minnesota's playing too fast. They don't play no defense. It's just too good of a spot. I love Luka today. And on FanDuel, I like Porzingis. DraftKings, I'm trying to make Porzingis work more. I'm trying to get more of them. But the center-only eligibility makes it a little tough. We got the Phoenix Suns visiting the Utah Jazz. I don't love playing too many guys when they go into Utah, but we have a 224.5 total. The Suns are currently 8-point underdogs on the road. Kelly Oubre and Booker both returned to their massive minutes in their previous game. I think Booker played like 38, Oubre played 39, so that's promising because we saw as they got Saric and Baines and Cameron Johnson, all these guys came back, I was concerned we were going to see a reduction in their minutes, and we did for a little bit, But in their last game, they did go back to playing the big minutes, so they're at least trying to win. On FanDuel, I love Rubio. DraftKings, I'm good with him, but there are other plays who seem a little stronger at the position. I think Ricky Rubio is very interesting from a tournament perspective. He finally had that big game we were kind of looking for. This is a revenge spot for Mr. Rubio if you're into that kind of narrative. But just to get into Rubio played 35 minutes against Chicago, went for 47 DraftKings points. Before that, it was a back-to-back also. Played 28 minutes against Toronto, went for 36. So the 28 minutes ain't going to cut it today. But if we do get a 35-minute output, then I would anticipate him to play well. So on FanDuel and DraftKings, I am actually kind of interested in Ricky Rubio if it fits. The issue, of course, is the Stars and Scrubs is calling our names today. But for game theory purposes, that means that the balance build is going to go extremely low owned. DeAndre Ayton I'm good with, but his price has gotten up. Similar story, right? Hard to reach him because we have so much value at the position. It's kind of hard to get all the way to the top, especially if I go up there, I feel like I want Embiid. So that's going to make it more difficult to play him. On the other side, with Utah, I'm okay with him, but I think Mike Conley is probably my favorite play from Utah. I think Gobert is another option. Similar story at center, but his price is actually too cheap for him, I think, and not matchup, right? Centers have just destroyed Phoenix all season, so I'm definitely good with working in some Rudy Gobert. And we know not just that, but Rudy Gobert just plays just monster minutes. They really don't seem to like any of the other center options that they have. Gobert played 34 minutes against Houston, a very small team. Against the Spurs, he played 38 minutes. 37 against Miami before the break, 36. So he's just a guy that's just going to play big minutes, and I'm definitely interested. As a matter of fact, let's take a look and see what his true minute projection is for us. Because I want to give him at least a full 37. Yeah, we got some room here. Give him a full 37. We had him at 36.5. Give him a full 37. That should help him project even better, but not matchup for him, no doubt. Jordan Clarkson, I don't mind in a matchup like this. I just prefer someone to be out before I really get heavily vested, especially when his price is up like this. So it's mainly, I'm okay with Mitchell, but I'm not crazy into him. It's mainly Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert for me here. I think we got one more game. Last game, the Memphis Grizzlies and the Los Angeles Clippers. Memphis is going to take you out of sort through. You got some decisions to make with Memphis. So, number one, I'm going to have a ton of Brandon Clark. We know Jaren Jackson Jr. is out. I'm assuming that Brandon Clark is getting the start. He was supposed to start the last time Jaren Jackson Jr. missed for suspension, but then he got ruled out for injury. So, I'm anticipating him starting. And if he does start, I'm going to have a shit ton of him. Foul trouble is something on the mind, right? You got Kawhi Leonard, potentially Paul George, if he's and all these guys. But I will be playing a lot of Brandon Clark, assuming that he starts. Gorgie Dieng is another value center. I set a rule with him and Joe Val because I do like Joe Val. There is a world where they just play Joe Val more and he just smashes the Clippers. Great spot for centers, right, against the Clippers. I did set a rule to not play Joe Val and Gorgie Dieng together. I prefer Robin Lopez, assuming he starts. So I'll probably end up with around 18 to 20% of Dieng. And again, I did set a rule in the optimizer not to play them together. Joe Val and him together. With that said, Brandon Clark, like I said, my favorite play from one of my favorite on the slate. Him and Luka are probably my two favorite plays on the slate. Dylan Brooks, his minutes have come down because he's played really terribly. He's gotten into foul trouble, but his usage has actually looked really good. I'm just waiting for that day. Josh Jackson, phenomenal value play on both sites. I'm going to end up with a lot of him, I can tell you that. The Anthony Melton, man, is very up and down. His price is low. I'm going to have some of him as well. I'm trying to find that middle ground. Right now, I'm looking at about 20 or so percent of him. I think a lot of other places, because of the injury, have him projected for more minutes than we do. But if you project him from 23, you're going to end up with 80% of this dude. So I'm trying to be slick about it. I feel a little better with Josh Jackson because he has actually played a lot of 4, and that's Jaren Jackson's position. So I can see a path to Jackson getting an actual boost in minutes. I'm not totally convinced that Melton gets a true boost in minutes. He's got massive upside, but he's also got a really low floor. So the Memphis side that's gonna be a team you're gonna end up like having to make some decisions on, man, because a lot of these guys are projecting well. We have Jaren Jackson Jr. out, who does play anywhere from 28 to 30 something minutes when he's out of foul trouble, and on top of that, he holds a decent amount of usage. John Moran, I know I didn't mention him. I'm interested, especially if Pat Bev is out again. But I like Joe Val in tournaments a lot. I do like Josh Jackson quite a bit. These are the guys I'm going to take my biggest stands on. And Brandon Clark, I'm going to have a ton of today. I can tell you that right now. I love a whole lot of Brandon Clark. On the Clippers side, Paul George is questionable. So we'll wait on the status of him. Him being out will make us like a lot of these players better. Pat Beverly, as of now, is 4K on DraftKings. If he is in, he projects phenomenally and a phenomenal spotting, too, against Memphis, who's been awful against point guards. I think Montrezl Harrell is very interesting today at center, especially if Paul George were to get ruled out. Marcus Morris is the one that projects well, but we need to be cautious because I was already conservative with his minutes because his role is not the same on this Clipper team as it was when he was with the Knicks. Yeah, so just for an example, his usage rates on the Clippers so far has been more like 17, 8. 42 minutes against Boston had an 8% usage rate. 32 minutes against the Kings, he had a 17% usage rate. Played 32 minutes and went up for 9. He's not the same player as he was on the Knicks. So just keep that in mind when looking at him. I do like Kawhi Leonard, actually, as a low-owned stud. And if Paul George gets ruled out, his ownership will go up, but he also becomes a much more optimal play. So I'll keep an eye on the injury situation here. Reggie Jackson is also cheap. Let's see what Reggie did. Did Reggie make his debut for the Clippers? I think he played 22 minutes against Sacramento. I believe that to be the case. Didn't play particularly well. Don't like the fact that I only got 22 minutes. And if Pat Bev is there, that's really going to hamper him a little bit. So maybe a wait-and-see approach. More of a FanDuel thing. On DraftKings, I'm really not even trying to go there at 6-1. But on FanDuel at 4-1, that's where you're kind of making that decision and thinking about it. Again, I expect his role to be different on this team than it was on Detroit, especially after they got rid of Drummond. But there's a lot to like here, man. I mean, we just need the injury news. We get some of this. Pat Bev could be gone. Paul George could be gone. That's going to really increase how much interest we have in guys like Lou Williams. I think that if Paul George is out, Marcus Morris' usage may increase a little bit, and he's already cheap, making him a better play. I think Montrezl Harrell has a path to play more minutes if Paul George is out. So, and of course, Kawhi becomes an awesome play with PG out. So if PG's in, I'm actually interested in him. If PG is in, he's the one I want. At 8-1 on FanDuel and 7-8 on DraftKings, I would give him more minutes. Right now, I'm just somewhat conservative because they're still waiting on his status. It's a hamstring injury, and he's dealt with that all season, so I feel like, why play him? Like, you guys have a phenomenal record. You're not playing a very good team. I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see. But this could easily, like, on FanDuel, it's a really shitty situation to have to guess. On DraftKings, you're going to have to be ready to late swap and make some moves because we can really get a lot opening up. And Memphis has played really fast. I mean, this game has a 233 total. It's not no slouch, It's a pretty solid total. So I'm interested. It's just a matter of who. And that's going to clear up for us as we get some more news on the Clippers. We just may not get that until after lock. So be ready to make your moves. Be ready to do what you got to do. The Memphis side, we got a lot of the news, so we can make those decisions. And I'm going to have a lot of Memphis. Just a matter of which ones and how much. But those are the decisions that we are looking at today. At this point, let me just peep real quick, see if there's any questions, and then we'll pause. I got the music back. I should have the music back, so we should be able to do play you guys some background music while we set up for part 2 of the show with Paulie. We pull up YouTube. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all, man. Y'all are just awesome. Y'all are awesome. Matt Adams says, where you been? I missed you last night. Did you not stream? Oh, no. We don't do it on the weekends. We don't do the shows on the weekends. We do content on the weekends, just not the shows. I still do the projections. We still do the articles, all that stuff. I just don't do the show on the weekends. But I was also out of town, so just kind of settling in again now that we're back home, starting fresh. Appreciate those of you who are all tuned in. If you haven't hit the like button, guys, I'm looking. There's a lot of you in here. There's not a lot of likes. I mean, we really need the likes. They go a long way to help us out. And without the likes, it's tough for us to do the free content. So please, if you haven't already, hit that like button. Chris Cox, optimal is none in Luka. I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. Like you some low-owned folks. Dropping dirties on them. That's right. That is right. First time MME starting with 20 teams. This is from Smashing. First time MME starting with 20 teams. How many players should be in my pool? So I think that that depends on your comfort level, right? I used to do a lot of capping. I've kind of gotten away from that because I put so much effort and time into the projections that I kind of just like to let the projections do their magic. But running I do 150 teams in my player pool. A lot of times would be like, I don't know, 36 people. So I'm not looking for a big pool. But if you're adverse to that kind of risk, if you'd rather be a little more spread out and just hope that one of the teams get to that, see, I want like 50 of my teams to be up in that range to really have a shot. And then maybe one of them creeps to the top. If you're content with more having one creep through and you want to be a little bit more spread out, then you can obviously stretch your player pool. But a lot of times, man, I'll look right now. This isn't my final crunch. This isn't my final build. But as of right now, 150 teams. I have a player pool of 42. Right? Like I'm not afraid to take high exposures and high stances on players I want. But you got to do what's right for you. I didn't start off that way. I started off with a little bit of a bigger pool and kind of getting more, like having more, diversity. Brian Self says, Dieng affect Joval's minutes. Possibly, of course. I mean, I think that with Jaren Jackson Jr. out, that helps Joval because Brandon Clark is also a guy that's played some 5 a lot this year. I think it's going to go with who does well. Right, if Gorgie Dieng is playing better, if Joval's slowing them down and they don't like the pace they're going with, then yeah, Gorgie Dieng is going to play over. That's why I set that rule, right? I want both of them, but not together, because I think if one, even though they're both cheap enough, I think if one player is going to ceiling out, then that means it's going to take away from the other player. If Joval gets 33 minutes today, which he normally doesn't get, then I would imagine that means Dieng only got like 18, 17. Right? On the converse, if Joval only gets 28 minutes, 29 minutes, that means Dieng's probably looking at 20, 21, 22. So that's how I'm handling that situation. I'm going to get exposure to both, but I did set a rule in the optimizer to not give me them together. Give me one or the other. And as of right now, I'm getting more Joval, which I'm comfortable with because I do think Joval may go a little lower owned because I think a lot of people are going to just decide to punt the position. Though I have not checked ownership projections. I'm just kind of going off. I worry about my shit. You know what I'm saying? But I'll take a look at a couple ownership projections just to kind of see if anything's different or whatever. I'm seeing like J. Rich, Embiid, Luka. So it looks like Embiid is projected to be the chalk today. That's interesting. So maybe these value centers aren't going to be as popular as I thought they would be. Mo Wags I expected to see there. Brandon Clark, yeah, I expect. Robin Lopez, where are you at? Robin Lopez coming in like 9%. That's kind of strange. Maybe there's something I don't know. But as far as I know, Brook Lopez is supposed to be out, right? Let's double check this shit. Yeah, Brook Lopez is out. So I don't know. Guess we'll take a wait and see approach. Min price for me, I don't know. But yeah, Embiid, I understand it, right? We have an injury there. Ben Simmons is out. I think Tobias is in, by the way. I do think Tobias is officially in. So on FanDuel, I think feel free. Let me see what we got to do here. But I do think... Cool. It's a wild slate. We're going to do it, guys. So we'll be back in a little bit. I'm going to go over setup, get Paulie on the show. We'll continue to do dirties. If you haven't hit that like button, please smash it as usual. And we are going to, we're going to do what we do. And come back and answer some questions and do some game theory stuff. We're going after it today. 150 entries in the $4 donkey on DraftKings, 100K up top. We're going after it. So come along for the ride. Let's win some money tonight. Don't go nowhere, Nation. I'll be right back. Just gonna pop on some music while we set up for part 2 with Paulie D. And also, we're gonna try to bring on some guests on some of these shows going forward. Not every single day, but when we can, reach out to some of the friends of the nation and bring them on here and let them talk a little bit with us, right? So appreciate those of you that hit the like button. Again, don't go nowhere. We will be right back with Paulie D for part 2. What up, Nation? I'll take care of that. Welcome to part 2 of the NBA Wise stream, joined by the GOAT, the true OG. You guys know him as Paulie D, and you can find him on Twitter at Paulie with 8 Ds. Paulie, been a while since you and I done this, right? How you doing, bro?
Doing good, bro. Missed you.
I missed you too, man. I missed you, missed the nation, missed everybody. Anytime I go away, it's nice to get a break. But the best thing about the break is when you come back and you're just ready to take down donkeys. So I'm definitely glad to be back. Shout out to you. I know your Core Plays article, I've gotten a lot of feedback from the rest of the nation just saying that your Core Plays article has been fire. So it's just a matter of us putting things together. So I'm excited to see if we can do that on a night like tonight when there's a $4 donkey on DraftKings with 100K up top. You know what Tyrone would say in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Welcome those of you who are tuning in. Appreciate you guys. It is time for part 2 of the Wise stream, so we're going to talk some game there. The main purpose of this show is to keep you guys informed with news. I did update the projections at WiseTake.com in terms of Bertans being out. So these are all things that we, go ahead and keep in mind as we go through it. We're going to lead you up into lock, so if any news comes out, be ready. We'll be ready to react. Other than that, we try to keep the show kind of free-flowing. If you have questions, that works. We'll answer some questions, but I'm going to ask Paulie some of his thoughts on the slate. Then we'll try to field some questions when there's time. Keep in mind that we are building our teams at the same time that we're doing the show. So if there's a little bit of downtime towards the end, just bear with us. But again, the point of this show, we want to make sure that you guys have all the news necessary to make the adjustments. Basketball is more than any other sport we have, a very reactionary sport. If you don't have certain news, you don't make adjustments, you're going to have a very hard time overcoming certain things. So with that said, Paulie, we have a decent-sized slate. I think it's actually a pretty good one. It's going to be chalky, right, between value and some of the studs. We know stars and scrubs seems to be like it's going to be a popular way to go. Give me your overall thoughts on the slate and how you're going to attack it.
Yeah, crossed between like what my initial thoughts were, go stars and scrubs, just forcing 3 guys above 8K into all your lineups. But that just seems to be like the extremely chalky route. And there are some pretty solid mid-tier plays. So I'm kind of like looking for opportunities to differ from what my initial thoughts were. Sometimes that works out, sometimes that doesn't. But my goal is to fucking top 10 the donkey today. So like being different is just slightly more valuable to me than being optimal, so like I do have to consider what the field is doing, unfortunately. And, some of my favorite plays are kind of more mid-tier, so I'm like, maybe I got to do like a mix and match, a little stars and scrubs, like, two scrubs, 2 stars, and then the rest balanced, something like that, where like, you differentiate your build from what the field is doing, but still like, get good plays in there.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, like you said, it looks like the optimal strategy is going to be to go stars and scrubs, but optimal is just another word for chalk. So I get it, like wanting to have a little bit of both. There's obviously some mid-tier plays that will be popular, guys like Brandon Clark, but for the most part, with all the value we have, it just seems like definitely going to be a stars and scrubs, especially because a lot of the studs seem underpriced. Luka Doncic seems underpriced. Joel Embiid is underpriced. Like there's a lot of guys that seem fairly easy to reach. With that said, I'm going to ask you the usual. We're going to go through these tiers, and I just want to know who some of the guys that you're the biggest on. So let's start with the studs, man. Talk to me about Luka and some of the other studs. Who are your favorite studs on the slate tonight?
So, yeah, I mean, I do like Luka quite a bit. He seems to be industry chalk, him and Embiid. There's certainly pivots. Trae Young, always a guy to consider. Harden and Westbrook are in optimal spots. Giannis should do whatever he wants as long as he plays. Like when he's on the court, he's just going to do dirties. It just depends if the game can stay close. I guess the fact that it's on the road and Washington seems to be back to playing pretty well. And not well, but like hanging in games longer than they should kind of thing. Maybe he does get a little more run than people are anticipating. And then there's like the tier of guys between like 8 and 9, like Porzingis, Adebayo with no Jimmy Buckets, John Collins, who smashed his last time out, and kind of has actually had decent history against Brad Beal, who went for 70 yesterday, and is going to be getting paced up. DeAndre Ayton. Centers have done well against Gobert this year. If that game stays close, Ayton's probably doing well. Vooch in a smash spot against Brooklyn. Like, I like these guys too. D'Angelo Russell after a day of rest. Maybe that's kind of like the tier that doesn't jump off the page quite yet. That I may want to get a little more exposed to. But Luka, Giannis, and then Embiid are my 3 favorite spend ups at currently. If Paul George were to get ruled out, which, I'm anticipating him playing, but if he were to get ruled out, then Kawhi would probably jump ahead of Embiid for me.
Yeah, I like that. For the simple fact, number one, Kawhi is going to have lower ownership because that's going to be something that we get after lock most likely. I completely agree. Plus, the position helps, having a small forward rather than a center where we have a lot of center options, low, mid, and high. Where are you at with the guys like the Hardens, the Westbrooks, the Trae Youngs? I agree with you on the Luka, Giannis, and Embiid. Those would probably be my 3 favorite studs as well at this moment. But I do have a little underlying fear of maybe being underweight on guys like Trae Young, Harden, mainly those 2, even Westbrook a little. But
yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, like, Harden or Westbrook. I kind of like lean a little bit Westbrook. Like he should draw Elf D if Elf plays, and if not, DSJD, which is nowhere, nothing good either. And like he's just been doing so well, penetrating, being aggressive, getting to the hoop. Um, Harden seems to kind of do his thing more when they need him to, and kind of hang back a little bit when he doesn't need to. I don't think they're going to need to against the Knicks, so I almost lean Westbrook. Trae Young can go for 70 at any time, especially in a game where maybe he's trailing, they're playing from behind. They do have some good defenders. They could stick on him. So like he'll probably be one of my least exposed studs, but he's one of the more consistent guys going for 60 plus on the season. So it's hard to really not get exposure to him.
I agree. And again, like we're looking at like with all the value, if you want to play two of these guys together, it's not going to be a problem. So if you are going to go super heavy stars and scrubs, then it shouldn't be an issue working in different studs. Like you'll have your favorites, but it shouldn't be an issue reaching some of the other ones. Of course, if you're trying to go a little bit more balanced to be different in that aspect, then different conversation. You may have to choose your guys a little bit. Talk to me about the mid tier. I agree with you that there's some mid tier plays kind of slowly emerging. Obviously, the high and the low seem to be where everybody's focused in on. But we have one guy in Brandon Clark who I would anticipate to be pretty popular in the mid tier. Outside of that, there's a few guys worth I think looking into that I think will be low owned. Talk to me about some of your favorite mid tier players. And first, talk to me about Brandon Clark and what your interest level is on him.
Yeah, super high. Brandon Clark's a stud. We've been on him, since preseason. He was the MVP of the summer league. When he gets minutes, he produces. This is a team that struggles versus bigs. He should be game flow proof. If they do get blown out, I think he still kind of plays in mop up time. Like him a ton. He's already been doing really well, and now he's going to get all the minutes with the starting unit. I think it's a great spot for Joe Val, but they just aren't playing him minutes, even in close games lately. So I just lean Brandon Clark, who's just showed tremendous upside, double upside, and in a really good spot for bigs. So I like him a ton. He'll probably be my highest exposed player. You're muted.
I completely agree with that on Clark. He'll be one of my highest owned, probably my highest owned as well. Talk to me about some of the other mid-tier plays.
So, Montrezl Harrell, the price is crazy cheap. He smashed that price his last 2 times out. I would prefer Paul George to be out, but I don't think George impacts him playing as much. I think he could play into if they're blowing them out. They've closed with him in blowouts and let him stay out there and kind of just eat. Or in a close game where they kind of need him for all the size that Memphis brings. I like Rui Hachimura. The guy's just a beast, and less guys to compete for minutes with Bertans out and what's his name, Bryant. I like Goran Dragic, right? Like if that Cleveland game stays close, the last one was a blowout. This one's in Cleveland. Dragic will play a ton and do whatever he wants. We've got Kevin Huerter. I think there's a scenario where they kind of like pull Trae Young or just use one of their better defenders on him, and Huerter has to pick up the slack. I like him at his price. Naz Reid at 58. Dallas struggles versus bigs. They, seem to really like him. He's just such a point per minute beast, and I don't think he gets into foul trouble as easily tonight. Donovan Mitchell against Phoenix, just a guy that's going to be like 2% owned and has big upside in games like that. Ricky Rubio seems to be back on track. I like him against Utah. Just triple double upside, and they do have some good defenders that could give like guys like Oubre and Booker some trouble. Malik Beasley from Minnesota, just going to keep riding that wave. I like John Morant, especially if George is out. I think that game has a better chance of being close. If George is out, I really like Lou Williams. Colin Sexton from Cleveland, even though Drummond is there, they still kind of go through their guards. So I think that, if that game stays close, he's probably having a really good game. Those are some of the notable ones that I really like.
Yeah, Naz Reid, one of the more polarizing ones. So against Boston, he got 33 minutes. And I do think that, assuming that he starts again as he has been, I think that's their plan. I think they want him to play those minutes. The issue, of course, has been foul trouble. Even against Boston, it took him 33 minutes to do it, but he had 5 fouls. That's 3 straight games where he hit 5 fouls. And obviously, the most recent one was against Jokic. He only got 22 minutes as a result. He's a very high point per minute player. He's power forward eligible, which is huge. I'm just a little concerned about the matchup with Porzingis. With that said, I am not going to bail. I actually do, like, the more I talked about him on the game by game, and then even asking you and the in-between, I asked you on him because I just had him on the mind. But again, following that mid-tier kind of strategy, just another player you could add to the bucket. Love what you said about Montrezl Harrell. I expect his ownership to be extremely low, and especially if Paul George is out, we should expect his minutes to be a little bit more secure and usage as well when he is on the court. So I think you make a good point about that. I'm actually in the process of raising Naz Reid's minutes as we speak. The Naz Reid is like anybody that deals with foul trouble as bad as a player like him. You never want like a crazy amount that's going to break you. But definitely not a guy you want to ignore, especially he was pretty popular against Denver that day and busted. So I'm sure on a slate like this, people are kind of looking to get away from him a little bit, and maybe there's some opportunity there. So I like that. Talk to me about the value, man. We got a lot of value up and down. We have value everywhere. Every position you might want, it's there. Who are some of the ones you're honing in on?
Yeah, so, Brandon Clark's not a value play, but one of my favorite cheaper plays. Then we got a couple other guys from that Memphis team. D'Anthony Melton, I like quite a bit. Gorgie Jang, I think, is interesting. Like Derek Jones Jr. a ton. Like Kendrick Nunn a ton. Robin Lopez, our model really likes, and I'm on board with the Caveman. I think he's going to give us some leverage on the field. Looks like he's going to be very low owned. People not convinced he's going to start. Probably, just he's never really that good. But his mid price and in just a nut spot, like he should produce really well. He's done it many times, like with the Bulls in these kind of scenarios when he gets the minutes. Who else? Dennis Smith Jr. from the Knicks. If Elf gets ruled out, he'll become chalky. But even if Elf's playing, I still think with no Nitty that he should get good minutes. They should get blown out. Maybe gets additional blowout run. Josh Jackson, already seeing minutes in the 20s, and now there's no Jaren Jackson, so maybe he sees an increase, or they get blown out. He gets a lot of blowout run. He's going to be a phenomenal blowout run player probably the rest of the season. Dylan Brooks is too cheap, another Memphis piece. Kelly Olynyk, as long as he's getting minutes, he saw 26 against Cleveland this last game. Maybe some of that was blowout run, but, he's 3'7", nutted spot, potential for blowout again. I just think he'll see 20 minutes or so. He's fine. Who else is out here on them screens? I guess those are the main highlighted ones. Who else I want to talk about? Keelan Martin for Minnesota. Like, I know D'Lo's back, but kid was a beast off the bench yesterday, 2 games ago as well. Like, I think he's going to be the go-to guy on the second unit for scoring, and he's super cheap, and he'll be crazy low owned. And, if they get blown out, he'll be great in mop-up time as well. Darius Garland, too, seen a ton of minutes for Cleveland, 4-4, and he, isn't just scoring dependent. He kind of does a little bit of everything, assists, steals, rebounds, so don't mind him as well.
Yeah, man. Like I said, it's everywhere. It's everywhere at every position. I'm with you on the Rolo train. I don't even believe that he's going to be that low. I saw what some people have him projected for. One thing that I'm running into an issue with is like Pat Beverly. Like, he projects well for us. We don't even know if he's playing. It's kind of an issue. It's a phenomenal matchup. He's 4K on DraftKings. Like, so these are certain things where, like, you kind of want to make your decision in advance because you don't want to get stuck. Okay, there's nowhere to pivot. You have a 4K guy and there's nobody in that range. and you don't want to get stuck. So I think we have to make some adjustments in that aspect. But like you said, man, there's value pretty much everywhere. Between the Memphis is the big one though, right? Like that's the one that I think a lot of people will feel comfortable going to. Josh Jackson and Robin Lopez are probably the two that I'm going to have the most exposure to. I think Mo Wags is also in that conversation. The power forward eligibility is pretty clutch. But yeah, I mean, so far the slate is shaping up interesting. My biggest concern is because I'm playing so much Brandon Clark, Robin Lopez, Mo Wags. These are all guys that have center eligibility. So my concern is that I'm not going to get enough of these other centers that I want. But I guess that's just nature of the beast. Talk to me about game stacks, man. And we have some high totals. That Milwaukee-Washington game, for example, is a massive total, 243.5. However, it's also got a 13-point spread. How are you? Like, what are your favorite game stacks? I guess.
Minnesota Dallas is my favorite. I'm a little concerned with Minnesota hanging in there, but they've looked good, since the trade. I think Malik Beasley is a legit player that, is finally getting an opportunity. But this is a tough part of the schedule, and then, Dallas on the road with Luka back. Just Dallas has been really good this year and consistently beating good teams and, doing the right thing against the bad teams. So definitely concerned about that game staying close, but that is my favorite. And then after that, it's, Cleveland, Miami. That game was super attractive, the other day when they played. I don't think it'll be very popular today because it's, one of the lower totals, but I think there will be a lot of fantasy goodness there. And then it's these high spread, high total games that probably won't be that popular to stack because people think they'll blow out. But if they do stay close, there'll be money. That being Washington, Milwaukee, and Clippers, Memphis, right? I would love for Paul George to get ruled out and Memphis to hang in that game. That'd be awesome for a game stack. Or like I talked about, Washington all season long, they, at least when Brad Beal's playing, hung in games where they were double-digit underdogs. And, they've had 3 of the highest scoring games all season, right? And against Milwaukee, if they do keep that close, it'll be incredible game stack. So those are probably my next 2.
Yeah, I think that makes some sense. And like a team, like a situation like Milwaukee, Washington, for me personally, the only way I really play too many of those players in those games is game stacks. Because if I'm going for, if I'm going to be playing middle, like Giannis, I'll play regardless. Robin Lopez, I'll play regardless. Bradley Beal, I'll play regardless. Maybe like a value piece from Washington, like Mo Wags or something. But to really get the other pieces, because of the way the pricing is, especially like Middleton and Bledsoe, you really need that game to fucking go to war and kind of really, really do dirty. So I think that does make a lot of sense. Let me take a quick look. Boom. All right, let's talk some cash games while I go ahead and try to fix this little article thing real quick. Talk to me about some cash games, man. Where are you starting in cash today?
Brandon Clark, Luka, Embiid, Kendrick Nunn, Josh Richardson, Mo Wagner.
Boom. I'm with Elf Payton just got ruled out. Holla.
DSJ.
Oh God. We've had this opportunity so many times and it's never worked. But you know what? I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna keep doing it. Now, me and you talked briefly about this before, and I agree with what you said. In that Alfred, if there was ever a spot for it to work, you would think this would be it. Against a fast-paced Rockets team that's very guard-heavy, you would think this would be this environment for DSJ. Talk to me about where he ranks. Not to put you on the spot, but I'm putting you on the spot. Talk to me where he ranks in terms of value. And also, keep in mind, this can actually change how the builds end up coming out. Because now, say you were, obviously we were paying up for a lot of Luka, which we still are, but now we have a value guard to work into the mix. So talk to me about where he fits in for you.
He's 3-3. He's going to start. He's going to get a ton of minutes. He's a high usage player. he's the best value play on the slate, in my opinion. I'm going to have a shit ton of him. I don't see him failing in this spot. They have no other ball handlers on the team. RJ Barrett is a phenomenal play as well at 5'2". And I'm probably going to have to look a little deeper, see who else is there to handle the ball, to take some more shots. Elf was big usage, and Nitty was doing his thing when he got on the court too. There's a lot of minutes, a lot of usage go around, so probably more than just them too. But Dennis Smith at 3-3, you got to project him for 30 minutes. How does that fail?
No, I hear you. I also think obviously you want to give a boost to guys like RJ Barrett as well, who should have some point guard duties. And you mentioned it, Julius Randle, man, right? He may play more ISO ball, but I would imagine he's going to take any shot he wants. I mean, who else is going to compete with him for the shot attempts, right? He should be chucking and ducking today. Another stud that and his price has kind of come down. 8.2 is down. He was at 8.6, 8.7, all that kind of stuff. So, I think that makes sense.
They do.
We got somebody popping up in there with some spam action in the YouTube chat. Not us. Not me.
The YouTube?
Spam at YouTube, bro, with some nut stuff. I don't know what they're talking about. Appreciate those of you who hit the like button. But yeah, I'm with you on DSJ. How much DSJ you looking at now? What do you? I know you have to run the numbers and run the crunch, but in your head, where are you comfortable? Where's the line drawn?
70.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and that makes me nervous. I'm not gonna lie, makes me nervous. I'm messing around with it now to see what it looks like. So obviously, Elf, we moved to 0. I gave Randall another half minute. I already kind of had Randall projected for a lot of minutes, so I gave him another half minute. RJ Barrett looking a little bit better. I put RJ Barrett at 31.5. I mean, I could probably give him a full 32. I would, because between playing the 2 and now having to cover for DSJ, I would imagine. How many minutes would you feel comfortable projecting DSJ for? We've seen an instance like this before where they had no bodies, and somehow we saw him. Kadeem Allen, that one game, ended up playing he ended up closing over DSJ, and DSJ only finished with 24 or whatever it was minutes. Yeah. But Kadeem Allen, I don't think is with the team at this point, is he?
I don't think so either, but I need
to know, right? This.
Yeah, exactly. I need to know.
Know. Let me take a look.
Is Alonzo Trier with the squad?
Yeah, well, it helps. Ellington is not present on the Knicks. No.
He's with the team for sure.
Yeah. No, I know he was with the team. I wasn't sure if he was hurt, but it looks like no, he's not hurt. Here's an oddball question while I look for answers here. Do you think the Knicks? I mean, I wouldn't bet on it, but do you think the Knicks take a shot with Mo Harkless and Harden? They got some history there. Every team uses Harkless against Harden.
Yeah, I mean, Mo Harkless has been playing minutes for us anyway, and yeah, I think he'll guard him for sure. What's his name too? Damian Dotson's been getting minutes and taking shots. He's probably in line for increase.
I think I'm going to give DSJ 24 minutes. And then that should be enough. He was at 6x with 20 minutes. So
yeah, he's going to project very well.
Right. If we give him too much, it's going to be a little ridiculous. But let me just see what happens now that I pump that up right quick. Let's see what we look like. I'll pop up the chat in a second. We'll answer some questions. I just want to see what these builds start to look like with the DSJ situation. And I do still have to make some other update. Yep, Dennis Smith Jr. will start. We have a starting lineup as well for Philly. Starting lineup for Philly is going to be Milton, Richardson, Harris, Horford, and Embiid. So Horford back in the starting lineup. And again, DSJ will start. Let's see. All right. Let's do some upload data action. Upload some of these updated projects. Again, Nation, the cheat sheets are automated. So as we make changes to the projections, it will reflect so on the cheat sheets for FanDuel and DraftKings. So those of you who are building lineups by hand or just prefer to use the cheat sheet to build teams, make sure you refresh it at this moment to go and take a look and see what some of the changes are reflecting. And that must mean I'm disgusting. All right, let's check on the status of the Cash Game article. It's showing published, but the date is off. Get the date correct. Oh, is this? No. Oh, I see here. It went backwards. Okay, the cash game article is up. It's just on another side. Let me see where it's showing up on this. Okay, yeah, the cash game article is up. It's just not in the right order. So, Nation, those of you subscribed to WiseTake.com, Try Beezy's cash game article is up. Just follow the dates, 224. It's still on the front page, but it is behind the 223 for some reason. So, just keep that in mind going forward. Looks like we have some esports action on the site, too. All right, let's see what it's looking like now that I make these updates. Come on, man. Give me the damn dirty. All right, let's see.
28 minutes to lock.
Oh, yeah. Feels like an eternity right now.
Yeah. YouTube Nation, send them questions in. I'll pop in after this crunch and do 30 with you.
Yeah, so as of right now, like putting DSJ at 24 minutes, it's giving me, looks like I'm going to have in between 70 and 80%. I'll let you know the exact number when it finishes, but that's right, kind of right where we want to be, right? Like, you still want some in case he shits the bed, but you want to be in a good position to be overweight if he's going to do dirties. And the good thing on bigger slates like this with a bunch of value is he's going to be popular, no doubt, but maybe not as popular as he would be, say it was a 6-game slate without any injuries, right? Because there's other guys to work with. So I do think from that aspect, another positive is I am getting more like Giannis and some of these other studs. So it's kind of opening up some money for me. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to be perfect where I want to be with him, actually, which is great. And Embiid's the one that I'm not getting enough of that I need to fix and get more of. And I'm sure that's because of some of the value centers that we got going. I'm getting like 20% Randall at this point. Nas Reed is popping into our lives, which I'm cool with. Let's see where we're at. We're almost done. Oh, this is perfect, bro. We're going to be right around 70, it looks like. Which I'm, like you said, I'm comfortable with that. Show me the goods. We're almost there. We have about 8 more teams left. We're at 73%. And so 150 teams, we are currently at 72%. That's 108 teams out of 150. I'm comfortable with that. You?
Yeah, definitely.
I like it.
I plan for that.
I like it.
Dude, there's more of the Knicks, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like, one of the players, Taj, Reggie Bullock, Mitch Rob.
There's more. You're 100% right. There's more.
You know, I don't know which one it is, but
that's a whole other thing. You know what I mean? It's the Knicks too.
Yeah.
Of all, it's the Knicks. Like, what do you do? Oh shit! Did I just close that shit out? No, I didn't. It's here. Yeah, we good. I'm gonna look and see. I'm gonna go through this team and see if anything. Go ahead and when you have it pulled up, go ahead and do the questions, and I'm gonna go through the Knicks and see if there's anybody I'm missing from a minutes perspective. And we'll update the projections, take a look and see what we're getting, seeing who's dirtying what and where, and also why. These are all things we have to know, and we're gonna figure that shit out. For show.
There you go.
That's how we do it.
All right, Dean.
Yeah, buddy. Got some news out. So Kevin Love is gonna start. Well, I wanted to ask you about him directly. I'm gonna ask the first question myself. Kevin Love's real cheap, bro. His minutes have been like down, so it looks like Cleveland's just not gonna play their super, like their studs, if you will, a ton. But when I saw his price, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty tempted. And I think his ownership is gonna be low. He's 7-1 on DraftKings and 6K on FanDuel.
Wowzers! I mean, I can't do it though. It's like
Mo Harkless is gonna start ahead of Reggie Bullock. They're doing it, bro. They're doing it. We nailed it. They're doing it. Mo Harkless is gonna start over Reggie Bullock. Holla. That's hilarious. Now I'm starting to wonder, like, either there must be something in the scouting report that they're like, this guy discards him well, or he's going to teams and he's like, yo, Harden's playing, bro. I got you if you need it. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Because like this is what his third team, and again he starts out of nowhere just because they're playing Harden. You know what I mean?
Yep, you ain't lying, son.
Something strange for a piece of change.
I got a question for you. I mean, this is way more random, but do you have like George Hill's popping off the fucking chain on Armada? Like, do you have interest in him? Because I have like none.
I think I had a little bit, and now you know what? I had a little bit with DSJ. I probably won't get any, But that's probably. Oh, don't tell me, you son of a bitch. Oh, don't do this.
What? Tell me FG's down.
Oh, okay. It's loading slowly. Oh man, it's not loading all the way, bro. Now you got to do it and see if it works for you. No, so I know if I'm
All
just tripping
right.
or something. But it's like not loading all the way.
I hope you're tripping.
I hope to God I'm tripping. Don't do this to me, please.
I mean, I'm crunching, but that don't mean anything.
Like when you go to actually export it, that's when you find out.
Export. Yeah. All right. So I'll export
It's
this.
about to get real lonely up in here.
Oh, ugh.
Don't even tell me we're about to have another one of these. It just happened.
Yeah, first day back.
First day, yeah.
Yep. They're down. These cock suckers.
Suckers indeed.
Dennis Smith Jr. overloaded the
Yeah,
site.
bro, because everybody's like running out to the play his ass. So in these situations, one thing we've learned is to like set a dummy team in which like if there's a player from the early games that you're willing to have 100%, fire away. If not, set the dummy teams as late as possible so that whatever optimizer, if it's down or whatever the case may be, you're able to get something up. But
so Milwaukee, Washington, Atlanta, Philly, and Miami, Cleveland are the 7 o'clock.
That's terrible. That's just horrible.
Yeah, Mo Wagner, the Lopez, Giannis, Mba.
Yep. Pretty shitty situation. Knicks will start DSJ, RJ Barrett, Mo Harkless, Julius Randle, Taj Gibson. We've got that information rolling in that thing. Don't do this.
All right. Can you use Alec Burke instead of J. Rich? Harris is in, right? Tobias Harris. You can. It's risky. Maybe there's blowout run. I mean, if Harris was out, he was going to be a lot more interesting. What about Robin Lopez or Ersan Ilyasova? No, Brooke. Yeah, we like both. Robin Lopez more so, though. Why is Dennis Smith hot? Yeah, Elf is out. That's why he's hot.
This is why he's hot. All right, well, you know what to do. Time to build some dummy team just in case. There'll be a dummy team in place. This is not a good sign, though. I can tell you that. I can tell you that, though. Okay. That's good. All right. Oh, man, this is just shitty. This is just really shitty. Let's see. Gotta make it.
Take a look at Twitter. They say anything.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye. Nothing yet. Hopefully, they should start getting told. And it's really strange too because like the site is still working. It's just the actual optimizer itself that's not pulling up.
Oh, really? I can't even get the site up
so
anymore.
Maybe that's a thing of the past. Yeah, they're gonna be too busy to get this. I have a feeling they're gonna be too busy to get this up in time. So it looks like we're looking at these late games. Brandon Clark. Do we have a starting lineup for Milwaukee yet? I'm gonna check right now. Yeah, you're right. Now I can't get to the site at all, so it's just overload. Overload. All right, let's see. Well, let's see if we can use the other guys. Oh, I gotta build this team first. Damn, man, they're doing us dirty. Solo. Still no confirmed starting lineup. Shit. It's like, I like Giannis, but do I want 100% of him? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Puts us in quite the predicament.
I mean, there's enough time to manually take him out of a lot of them.
Yeah, that's true. But like that, but there's so many other guys that are involved in it.
I know.
It's just like, why? Yeah. Yeah, they're just a little too busy, I guess.
All right.
Mba Projections. I'm literally gonna try and see if I can somehow get this stuff into the other guys. What is it, Lineup HQ or whatever?
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna try. Let's see. Downloading our projections now. I know it's a little different going up in there.
It's better than
Better
nothing.
than nothing. You're absolutely right about that. And let's go WiseTake. Where did the file? There it is. NBA Projections. Oh, damn you. Damn you. Download this file. Alright, I forgot. I gotta copy and paste this shit.
17 minutes to lock, nation.
Shit.
Do that dirty before the dirty gets done to you.
The dirty's gonna get
yes.
done, right?
Is Seth Curry starting again, or is Luka back? Luka is expected to be back. It's not officially yet, but
yeah, we were expecting. He was out for rest. Everybody's expecting him back.
Yeah.
It is not official. That is correct.
That's it right now. What were some of you, like? How would you rank the value plays, CK? What are like your top 3?
Definitely DSJ now. I think that I like. Hold on, let me just do this real quick. What's his name? Josh Jackson. I'm interested in. I am interested in Mo Wagner, which is why I'm like so frustrated. Like, because there's a lot from those games. I mean, that first game. What is it? I'm talking about the Milwaukee game has the highest total on the board by far. It's not something we want to just slouch by. Like in a piece like Mo Wags, I mean, just the pace alone should give him some extra opportunities, you would think. So I don't know. Projections, DraftKings, NBA. Let's see. Projections, DraftKings, NBA. Let's see. Holla.
Where are you with like Gorgie Jang versus Robin Lopez?
I prefer Robin Lopez, but only assuming that he starts. If not, then I would actually prefer Dieng. But I think like I have a rule set with Oubre. You know what I mean? Like not Oubre. I said Oubre because the wrong fucking thing. But you know what I'm saying?
Yang and Jang. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think again, just assuming that he's starting.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm at. All right. So some of these players, it's not picking up, aren't playing anyway, so that's not that big of a deal. But some of them,
I don't even see
Mo Wags, Troy Brown, Ish, Oubre. Alright. Yeye Barea. All these other guys I'm good with. Submit. Alright. Build rules. Look fitty. Alright. Create new group. What we got? 14 minutes?
Yeah.
Players at most. Use at most one player. That's Dieng. Valanciunas. Okay. Okay, let's see if this works. Sorry, Nation, we didn't anticipate the show going this way, but the optimizer we typically use to build our teams is crashing at lock once again. This is the second time it's happened in less than a week. So, dirty style. Hey, you know what they say. You sleep with dogs, you're going to wake up with fleas, right?
That's what they say.
Uh-huh. This is different. I'm using lineup HQ just to, I mean, you know this, but I'm using lineup HQ to give it a test one way or another. The good thing is that the exposures it's giving me at this moment aren't that different from what I was getting anyway. Mm-hmm. So that's a positive. Let me see. I gotta raise some Embiid here. And some Nas mother sucking Reed.
I think the other thing's back.
Is it?
I'll tell you in a second. Maybe not. Scratch
that. 5 Nas Reed. 5. And now I need Embiid. Got the need for Embiid. 54.73. Oh shit! Are you making changes to the thing right now?
What
the
thing?
Actual like projections?
Nah.
Oh, okay. Because
on RG, I did actually 2 guys. My bad. I'll leave it. You're good.
Who are those 2 guys? Just so I know.
Randall and D'Lo. I popped up like a point.
Okay, let me see.
I see what's happening.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get out of your way, right? Yeah.
Shit. Made a player pools, you sucker. And then, who was the other one you said? Actually, I'm just gonna re-upload these bitches.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what I'll do. Straight up panic at the end of the show, and the nation has to suffer because of these clowns. Clowns. Straight up clowns. Alright.
Alright, done. So you can do it.
Alright.
Alright, Nation, I'll jump into YouTube. I'm pretty much set. 9 minutes to lock. Alright, Bucks lineup just came out. Lopez is starting. Good to know. What do you think about DSJ? He's my favorite value play on the slate. Noel beats. Any word on Paul George? Not yet. Let me see if there's any starting lineups out anywhere else. Sorry, this turned into a shit show because of you know who. But fire them questions in. I'll take them through block. Look at the. Yep. But what do you call it? Lopez starting from Milwaukee. Rui Hachimura, John Mahimi, Washington. Everything else is pretty much as expected. No news on Paul George yet. No other lineups. Dirty style.
Dirty style indeed.
I think I'll probably go right back to working 10 seconds after the last.
Oh yeah, that's of course. Happens to be on the day where, in the fucking $4 donkey, maxing it, Mother suckers. Alright. We got a lineup for the Nets. Dinwiddie, LeVert, Harris, Prince, and Allen. So Jared Allen is still starting. Not quite sure why, but that is the case. We got 7 minutes to lock. At least we had some time to do this. Never been so grateful for RG before. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. What the fuck? Man, this ain't nothing like it. What the hell? Did I do this right?
No. I didn't have any trouble.
Yeah, it's like what it gave me the first time I ran it is totally different. I didn't change that much, not to make this much of a difference. What the fuck? Six minutes to lock. Oh, wait a minute. I think I see what I did wrong. I did shit. Let me see. Shit.
Hawks will start Young, Herter, Hunter, Collins, Dedman. So Hunter's back. That's the latest and greatest. No new questions. Randall or Rui? Rui. Yes, matching. It's awful. PG, please chat. So if Paul George plays, I like him as like a 20% owned player, and I don't really like anyone else. Maybe a little bit of Montrezl. If George is out, really like Lou, really like Kawhi, really like Montrezl. And then Nick Marchigian. I like both Randall and Rui quite a bit, but if I had to choose, I mean, Rui's so much cheaper. I'd say him. Really like Rui going forward until his price goes up.
Oh man, where do you export the actual CSV?
I just hit the export button. It created a file. I uploaded that like I do any other one. Then I copied and pasted it over.
Yeah, but where's the export?
I shut it down, but it was like right to the, like just above the player pool, top, like to the right.
Oh, I see it. Okay. Yep.
Got it?
Yep.
Yeah, Rui Hachimura.
Hachi sauce. We got 4 minutes to lock at this point.
I think this guy's doing this shit on purpose.
You wonder, right? Like,
see, yeah, like just from the shit he says on Twitter, it's like Maybe he's getting a good laugh out of this, and people aren't canceling because he does have a good product. I don't know what the fuck. This has never been like this.
Yeah.
This is some fat shit.
No, this is definitely some nut shit. Unfortunately, you know, he's got supporters, I guess. Player pool, Clark. Three minutes to lock, nation. To lock. What time is the Minnesota game start? It's not first, is it?
No, it's not first. I think it starts at 8, but it's definitely not first.
Cool. Two minutes to lock, nation. I'm going to end up a way less Giannis than I wanted. I wanted a lot more. But definitely giving me some perspective with this tool. All right. Export. Well, we got something up. Better than nothing up, right?
Something up's always better than nothing up.
I agree with that. I agree.
Nation, sorry about that. Technical difficulties. So we got all the questions in. Oh, Beal or Booker? I would say Beal.
Yeah, I'd go Beal.
You know, that he's on a back-to-back and that he just, dropped a 70 burger, but I would go him.
Yeah, I agree.
Depends on your position needs, true.
It does. It does. Starting lineup for Cleveland. Oh, wait a minute. Don't tell me.
What?
I just realized that I don't know. Shit.
Well, we're at lock.
So that's that.
We'll get with your Nation. Sorry for the trip set, dip set, but that's how it goes in the industry. At least we could talk you through what to do, how to handle it.
Yeah, I mean, you see it. We go through it too. Shit happens. Hopefully, it is what it is. Late swap. Pay attention to news if you have to. I didn't end up exactly with what I wanted. A little frustrating, but it is what it is. We're gonna make the best of it and make adjustments accordingly. With that said, we're going to get out of here and try to fix whatever we have going on. Good luck, nation. Like I said, I just popped the projections into Lineup HQ and had to build this based off our projections there. So we'll see what happens. But we're going to get up out of here. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Like I said, we're going to try to bring on some guests and whatnot. Sorry the show didn't go as smooth as we would have liked, but we had some technical difficulties with our own personal teams. So good luck tonight. For Paulie D, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.